Hey, welcome back to the 144 Kids Recap. Today we're talking about Mount Sinai. Yes. And I can't wait. You don't want to miss it. So let's get to it. Just so you know, this is from the 144 Kids Shabbat Recap on the Kids Action Bible Show. And this is Alana. Let's get to it. All right. So we always start our Shabbats recapping what we talked about the week before. So the week before, first of all, if you haven't seen the Old Man Vinny video, what are you doing?
I know what you're doing. I see ya.
Go watch the Old Man Vinny video because it is too good. And please don't take any hair. Be gone. I just felt like I needed to say that. All right. So last week we talked about Jethro, and we talked about how some of these scriptures. So right here, this is an overview from Exodus chapter 18. So let's read it together. This is just a summary. So he observed how Moses sat all day to judge disputes, and he was there from morning till evening. It takes forever. And he advises Moses to appoint capable and trustworthy leaders to share the burden of judging the people. And so Moses focused more on significant matters and consulted Yah for guidance. Let's keep going. And this is what Jethro was saying to his son-in-law Moshe. He said, "You shall represent the people before Yah and bring their cases to Yah, and you shall warn them about statutes and laws and make them know the way in which they must walk and what they must do." This is our job. This is our job, to warn people of the statutes and the laws of the Most High, and so that they know which way that they should walk and what they must do. This is their job. Yeah? You think so? I agree. This is another verse we went over. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. To fear Yah is the beginning of wisdom. It's the beginning of wisdom. So good. All right, so here we're getting into Mount Sinai. Yeah. Also, we had a great question in our 144 Kids study. Someone asked if this picture of Mount Sinai, this picture right here was an actual picture of Mount Sinai. And my answer is no, not based off of what's described in Exodus chapter 19. In Exodus chapter 19, there was fire, there was smoke, there was lightning, and you could come up to the base of this mountain, and there was a lot going on. And so this was a picture that I thought would get us mentally prepared for it. Yeah? You agree? This is what I thought would get us mentally prepared for it, but this isn't actually a picture. All right, so this is Exodus chapter 19, verses 1 through 6. Let's read. It says, "On the third new moon, after the people of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on that day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. They set out from Rephidim, and they came into the wilderness of Sinai, and they encamped in the wilderness. There Israel encamped before the mountain, while Moses went up to Yah." So something that I think is really interesting about this is they obviously were continuously looking for the new moon. It says on the third new moon. This is the third new moon after the people of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt. So even though they were out of the land of Egypt and they were in the wilderness, they were still able to track and use the sky for signs and seasons to make sure they knew what time of year it was and what month it was. And so it says on the third new moon. So let's talk about new moons. I feel like this is so important because biblically we have a lot of scriptures that tell us that we should pay attention to this. So here's an overview of new moons. So in the Bible, the concept of new moon held great significance for the people of Israel. The lunar calendar, which is based on the cycles of the moon, was used to determine all of their religious festivals, all of their feasts, and all of their holy days. It was used to determine agricultural practices, which would be like harvest, and even some civil events, which would be like a wedding. The new moon marked the beginning of a new month in the Israelite calendar. It was an important time for the community to come together and acknowledge the passing of time, and it provided a sense of rhythm and structure to their lives. Right now, we have things like clocks and Gregorian calendars and so many things that want to dictate and tell us the pace of our lives and our time. But since the beginning, the Father had already given us a way to track time and given us a way to keep rhythm in our lives. In tracking the moon, when the new moon would start, is a way to figure it out. So for the people of Israel, the new moon was a call to worship and celebration. They would gather in Jerusalem at the temple and the central place of worship, or just the central place of worship if the temple wasn't present, to offer sacrifices and engage in special rituals. It was a time to express their devotion to Yah and seek his guidance and blessing for the month ahead. So here's a verse, just one of many that talks about new moons, which is why I highly recommend looking into it. Number one, it says, blow the trumpet, which is a shofar, in the new moon, the time of the appointed on our solemn feast day. Appointed is Moedim. And you know what feast days are, right? And so he says we're supposed to blow the trumpet for feast days, for appointed times, and for new moons. This is a celebration. And this is Psalms 81 verse 3. So it's something that we need to do. And so if you've never gone out to spot the moon, I encourage you, go out tonight. All right, Exodus chapter 19, verse 1 through 6. Yah called out to him out of the mountain, saying, thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the people of Israel, you yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians. What did he do to the Egyptians?
Once I called you brother. Once I thought the chance to make you laugh was all I ever wanted.
That's right. And how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. So let's talk about this. I've read a couple chapters back in Exodus when he pulled Israel out of Egypt. I don't remember flying out of there on an eagle's wing. I remember them walking through the Red Sea, being led by a pillar of fire, a pillar of clouds. I remember the plagues, but I don't remember anything about eagle wings. Do you? Were they physically taking out eagle wings? Or maybe that's a metaphor describing the Most High. I think that's a metaphor. You know, I've seen this somewhere in Scripture. Let's go to the next slide. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. This is what it reminds me of. It says, but those who hope in Yah will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not be faint. This is something that you can use to identify. Okay, when he's talking about soaring on eagle wings, on wings like eagles, he's saying like, hey, when you trust in me, you are going to move like you are moving on eagle wings. It's going to be seamless and flawless, and I'm going to carry you like the wind carries eagle wings. And if you ever seen the eagle's wings, they're huge. There's a lot of space. And he's saying, I have room to take care of you. You will run and not grow weary, and you will not walk and not grow faint. You will renew your strength. I thought this was really, really cool. And so this is why the father's talking to Moshe here, and he's telling him, remember how I put you on eagle's wings. I put you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And so this is another scripture that talks about eagle's wings. And I thought that was really cool. All right. Let's keep reading. Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all peoples. For the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the people of Israel. So he says, if you obey my voice you keep my commandment, you will be my treasured possession. If you obey my voice and keep my commandment, or keep my covenant, you'll be my treasured possession, a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. Obeying my voice and keeping my covenant, 1 + 1, those equal treasured possession, kingdom of priests, and holy nation. I love that. I love that. This is the deal that the Father has presented to all of us. If we do these things, we will be a treasured possession, a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. How awesome is that? So, if you want to check out more, dive into the 12 Tribes of Israel activity book from Bible Pathway Adventures. It's so great. It's so good. You can find more at shop.biblepathwayadventures.com. And that wraps up our Shabbat recap, our overview of the first couple verses of Exodus 19 at Mount Sinai. We're just getting started. I recommend you tuning in and you sticking in and watching these videos. And if you're part of the 144 Kids family, I'll see you at Shabbat. Shalom.